Alex from Adult Services. Welcome to the star watching program this evening. I'm going to use my Android phone to test out some star watching apps to see what kind of constellations I can see in the sky. I also brought out my tripod and a video camera so I could try to capture some of the stars in the sky. And then we'll just talk about what we liked and what we didn't like about some of the apps. Okay, we're going to look at one popular constellation called the Big Dipper, also called Ursa Major, which is the Bear constellation. So we're going to use the app called Star Chart. So to start, I start with tapping on Sky View. And once I'm on Sky View, you can see all the stars will show up. I'm going to then tap on the little magnifying glass. And then I'm going to tap on the little icon that looks like a constellation. It actually looks like the Big Dipper. And then we're going to tap in the search area, and we're going to type in Ursa Major. Ursa Major, the Great Bear. Tap on that once, and then it automatically puts in the constellation here. And then I can zoom in the Great Bear, and you can see that there's 4 stars. That's how I always look at it at the sky. You look for the 4 stars plus the little tail. And then where the dipper is actually pointing upward, you look to the north and then you'll find the North Star. I looked up the Big Dipper on my star chart, also called Ursa Major, the Great Bear. And there's 2 of the stars right there. This is one star that I found to the northeast. And I'm going to try to zoom in on that. Okay, so let me talk about a little bit of the equipment that I used for tonight's star watching program. I have an Android cell phone. It's a little bit cheaper. It's not the top of the line one, so it does lack a feature that I wish it had. In some phones they have a built-in compass. Unfortunately my phone does not have a built-in compass, so that's why I brought another tool. So I brought these portable compasses, so I can now determine where north is, where south, east, and west. And then there's also so this one's more like a travel compass that you'd have on your backpack, whereas this one is more of like a souvenir compass. So any type of compass you can find, it's good to have. So when I look at the compass, I put it, make sure you don't have it near any metal. It's saying north is that way, which is exactly what I expected. So north is that way, and then west. So now, once I know the direction, now I can calibrate that on my manual phone. So I'm going to use Sky Map, and then what I can do is I could then find where it's west. Here, let me just do that. Hold on. And sometimes you'll actually, when you're in the app, it'll automatically try to move it around. I might have to tap it twice. So now it says it's switching to manual mode. Now I can actually move it manually. That's important. Make sure you can move it manually. And then we look around. See how there's a east? So if I look at my compass here, since north goes that way, east is that way. So then if I'm looking east here, I just pinch on the screen. So east, I line it up with east, which means that if I'm going to look to the west there, I'm going to have to move down this way until I find the west. So there's the west. And what I was hoping to find this evening is Venus. And I know Venus is usually to the west. So what you would do then is then I would know that this, looking this way west, I have it pointed west. So you can see it west right there. There's east, that's west. And then what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to find Venus. So if I do a search here, I'll tap on the little search icon, search the sky, and I'm going to type in Venus. V-E-N Venus. Okay, so Venus solar system. And what it does is it basically says that it's going to be where the circle is. Now, because mine's not an automatic one, it's not pointing out that way. That's not where it is. It's actually to the west. So what I have to do then is I basically now point my cell phone to the west, and then as I look out to the west, I could then find where Venus is located. So it's right here. Okay, so I'm looking to the west. Imagine I'm looking out to the west, and then if I was not directly lined up, you see how the arrow, that's a neat feature I liked about it. See how it's saying it's point up? That means now I got to scroll up until it gets into the orange circle. So if I move to the right, you'll see how it says go back. So it'll point you in the direction. You'll just have to manually know it. And then basically other things you can look for to sort of give you a hint. If you saw where the sun went down, Venus is just going to be a little bit to the north of that, and then you just sort of estimate. It's a little bit up into the sky about above eye level. You can also try to look at other stars. If you have visibility of other stars, you can also look to see what else is in that area. So like this Capello or this Auriga constellation, you can use that as a sort of a starting point. So you find those stars and then look down into the corner there, and that's where you'll find Venus. So again, treat it like your ebook star chart. You don't have the automatic feature, but you'll have the ability to be able to find what you're looking for. So we did a search, we lined it up, we used a compass here, and then you can even use your binoculars too to try to find if you're looking in the right direction. So we have two different binoculars. So that's one way you can use a manual cell phone to be able to find what you're looking for. Okay, on the Android phone, we're going to use the automatic compass in the app called Sky Map, and we're going to find the planet Venus in the sky. So I tap on the screen once, I tap on the search tool, and then I type in the planet Venus. Okay, so once I typed in the planet Venus, you can see how it now shows a red circle with an arrow. So it says point to the west. So I keep pointing to the west, and it says point up, so I point the phone up. It starts to get the orange circle, but then what you want to do is you want to try to get in the planet in the center of the circle. So about there, and if you look out there, and you could even use your binoculars, and you can see the planet. Yep, that looks like the planet Venus. Okay, so we're going to talk about the Android phones and some of the star watching apps that I used when I was outdoors. There were two favorite ones that I liked, Sky Map and Star Chart. So we're going to start with Sky Map. So on my Android phone, tap on Sky Map. Now, because this one is a manual phone without a compass, you have to put it in the manual mode because it automatically wants to try to do automatic. So in order to do that, there's a little icon. You tap once to open up the options. You tap once, that'll put it into automatic mode, and then you tap once again to put it into manual mode. So then that'll allow you to actually move around on the screen. So that's extremely important when you have a manual phone without a compass. A couple other features. I like these on the left hand side, that allows you to turn things on and off. So let's say you didn't want to see constellations, you can tap it once, it goes white, and then all the constellations disappear. Tap it again, it turns it back on. You can turn the planets on and off. You could turn the grid on and off. But I usually like to just leave everything on, just because it makes it easier to look around. So then to move around on the screen, you just tap with your finger. To zoom out, you pinch in. To zoom in, you pinch out. And then you can move around on the screen. Again, one other neat thing is I like the little search tool on the top. You tap that once, and you can search for the particular star you're looking for. So let's say we wanted to look for, let's say Ursa Major. That was one of the ones from the other day. Ursa Major constellation. You tap on it, and it'll show you where it's located in the sky. And what's nice about that is depending on where you're at, and this is what I really like. So if I was like way on this part of the sky, it'll actually point in the direction where you have to scroll in order to get to that particular star. And when you got closer, it made that circle. So that's very important too. I like that feature. That was very good. And then if you ever have to access the settings, you can click on the settings right here. And then you can change that if you'd like. But if not, you just leave it alone. So this one is very simple. I liked it because of its simplicity. I think that's the reason why I use this one the most, especially on night too. So that was one of the apps. Now this one's an easy one to get out of. You just tap once on the screen, and then you just tap on the home screen right here, and then you can get out of it. So that was one of the ones I used. Now Star Chart was the other app that I used. So you tap on Star Chart. And they have Sky View, Explore Mode, Moments in Time. So again, this is more like history. Upgrades, again, if you wanted to pay for extra stuff, I don't really click on that. Explore Mode, I didn't really use that. I really wanted to focus just on Sky View. So we tap on Sky View, and it'll tell you your GPS location. So even though my phone doesn't have a compass, it's important that you have at least your location turned on so it can know that you're actually in, let's say, Illinois, rather than if I was in Florida. Because let's say you went and brought your phone to another state and you didn't change the GPS, then you'd be looking at the wrong sky. Or even more, another perspective is, let's say you're in Australia and you wanted to see the Southern Cross, you wouldn't see it if it was not turned on in the south. So this app would not work. So it's important to keep your location turned on. You just swipe it down and then turn on your location, and then it'll get the GPS coordinates, even if you can't automatically move it around like a compass. But like with this particular app, again, it works pretty well. You can move around on the screen. It shows all the constellations, pretty easy to use. You tap on the home screen here, it'll get you back to the home screen. So that was kind of nice. You can do a search. Now this search is a little bit different. This one actually allows you to narrow it down by if you wanted to search for planets. You don't have to actually type in the search. You can actually scroll through it and actually just pick one, and then it'll allow you to just go that way. Now this one's different. It doesn't give you that colorful arrow. It actually just says point that way. So now I have to swipe to the left here, and then it has a very tiny little circle. So again, I like the usability. The other one, it's the big circle. It's very easy to go back and forth. It's not too cluttered up, but this one was just as nice. You know, you have your northeast, you have your, you know, where everything's located. You can do searches. You tap once, you can do search. You can search by constellation. So if you wanted to see what the Andromeda constellation was. So even if you're not outside, play around with it a little bit. Just get used to the app. For an automatic one, SkyMap, I think SkyMap won me out on both. The ease of use, but look at how you can move it around. And there's west right there. Again, when we're looking for different stars, you can go up on here. But also, if I wanted to do a search, you do a search. And let's say we wanted to look at Orion constellation. So see how like that comes up. So the Orion constellation, now here's the thing. It's saying that it's actually pointing down, and it's going to be, there's Orion's belt right there, the 3 stars. But now the question is, okay, there's Venus. Venus is actually, so I actually have to turn this around because we want to say west. You got to know where your horizon lines are. So if you go, so we're looking to the west, and then we're looking at toward where Venus is now. And because Venus is now actually set, that means that Orion's belt is actually directly on the other side of the Earth. So before, when we were looking outdoors, it was actually above the horizon. Now it's below the horizon. So you want to catch it right after sunset because it'll eventually disappear and you won't see it anymore. So basically Orion's belt, anything that you're seeing below the horizon will be down here, just like the moon. I was looking at the moon, and the moon's actually not going to come up till early in the morning, so right before sunrise. So you know, you won't see the moon yet, at least for this night. And on a previous night the moon was out, but not today. So but yeah, that was a nice feature. And so far I have to say, between the two different apps, I'd say the app that I like the most would have to be and to get out of the app, sometimes it's going to be hard to get out. You just have to swipe down and then tap on the circle here. But to get out of the, so I'd say SkyMap wins for a really good one. And Star Chart I think is just as good. But I'd say for automatic, SkyMap worked the best for the automatic one. Star Chart worked very good for a manual phone that you have to scroll around. But I would say both of them, if you want to get them both, they're free. They don't have advertisements. You know, I'd say like Star Chart, that one you can, I mean, you can upgrade, but don't worry about doing an upgrade if you don't want it. But yeah, SkyMap was my favorite. But then let's go over just a couple other apps that I looked at. StarWalk 2, I looked at it. It was an interesting app. I'm just going to pull it up really quick. But this one, every so often, ads will come up. So I'm not going to stay in there for too long because that got sort of annoying to have to be worrying about ads. But you can see it's more of like a, just more fancier looking. Again, it's fancy. You don't really need to worry about it. I mean, it shows all the constellations, but very hard to move around. So I really didn't care for that. And again, if you paid for a paid version of that, you can get rid of the ads and maybe you can like it better. But I personally did not like the ads, and I didn't like the interface. Very hard to move around. So StarWalk did not like. SkyMap I like. Star Chart I did like. Solar Walk, now that one is more of an informational encyclopedia. So if you wanted to learn about like different planets and moons and stars, you can actually treat it like an encyclopedia. So what you do is you can, you know, it starts at the Earth, where you can click on the contents. And again, the contents is not part of the app. This is just more if they want to sell you other apps, so I didn't really like that. But like search, you would have to tap on search. So let's say I wanted to learn more about, let's say, the Venus. It'll take you to Venus. Now the neat thing about that is once you actually get on there, you tap on the information right here. And then we can look at it in 3D. We can get some general information about it. So if you wanted to learn about some general information about it, some general specs, which is kind of neat. They did a core view, which is kind of cool. They actually show what the inside of the planet looks like a little bit. And then some pictures. Now the only thing be cautious about is they do use the W, which is Wikipedia, so they may have pulled a lot of their information from Wikipedia. Always evaluate your sources. I think it's a good visual tool, but again, it's definitely not the only tool that's out there. I mean, I liked using, like, if you want another good tool to learn about planets, I actually liked, let's go back really quick. And getting out of this one was a little tricky. That's the one thing I did not like. It's very difficult to get out of here. You got to swipe down and then quickly. Yeah, I didn't like that. That was definitely something. And then you got to tap on it to get out. The NASA app was really nice. The one thing about this one, a lot of things about news, anything about stories that are going on with NASA, but also I liked that it has some videos. You can watch some videos, but also I liked some of the features. You can learn about, like, the moon, and then it'll talk about moons. It'll actually talk about moons at other planets too. So again, this is more like an encyclopedia too, but it's a little easier to, yeah, I mean, this one's really nice. It gives you like some different details about different things. Or let's say we wanted to learn more about the planets. You can learn about Venus. And again, they have in-depth numbers, images, videos, missions. So again, NASA has a lot. That app was fun. I really liked that one. That was a good one. Very easy to use. And I think also even with the solar system, they have some, they talk about the solar, they talk about a lot of different things. So play around with that. That's a good app to explore. Treat it like an encyclopedia, but also some news. So yeah, the NASA app was nice. Solar Walk, I probably would pass on that one. So I would say between my three favorites, NASA, good for news and some background information about the different planets and stars. I like SkyMap the best for being outside to do the star watching. Star Chart would come in as number 2. And again, if you have a phone that has a compass in there, definitely SkyMap worked great. I was able to put it around on the screen. And I think that's one of the biggest features I wish. I went to the Adler Planetarium website, and they have a lot of great resources, the Chicago Adler Planetarium. They have a really neat podcast. If you check out their channel, that talks about what's going to be in the sky each day, and just a lot of other neat facts and news. And before you head outside, there's one resource that is very interesting. On your computer, you can go to stellarium-web.org. So that's STELLARIUM-web.org. And this version is free on your computer. If you really like the free version, they also have a paid version if you wanted to put it on your cell phone, your Android or your iOS, and that ranges between $3 to $9. But what I like about the free version is you can use it to look at, there's like a horizon line, what's above, what's below the horizon. Basically anything down here is on the other side of the Earth right now. But you can also click on things. So like if I'm looking to the west, and I click on this right here, that's the International Space Station. So if you wanted to then go outside on your other app, you can also look up the International Space Station and find it. Or if you click on this star right here, again, each time you click on a star, it will bring up some information about it. So again, this is a tool, a resource that you can use to get started with just exploring the sky before you even go outside. Just be cautious, but definitely my favorite, Star Chart and SkyMap. SkyMap, probably my absolute favorite. So, that'll get you started with doing some star watching. In addition to star watching, just some considerations. Not every night you'll have a really nice sky. Even when I was doing this video, I had to span it between a Tuesday, a Thursday, and the Thursday I had a moon picture. That was when they had that super moon. That was about a week ago, and got a really great video of the moon. But every other night we had clouds. Sometimes the moon wasn't there. It's not always going to be in the same spot because of the way the Earth is. And it's important to think about that you might have to do multiple days. And even today, like I was able to get a good picture of Venus in my video, and I was really happy about that. But yeah, you're playing around with the weather. The weather sometimes just doesn't work out. So my tip is span multiple days if you can get out to the stars, and different times of the year. Sometimes you might have more humidity. That's not always a good time. More light pollution. If you can find an open field, that sometimes works good. But I know during the winter time, you definitely can have really nice clear nights where you won't have low humidity. But definitely do your research. Look on the internet for and play around in the apps and start to see what constellations are visible, and you'll have a good star watching experience. And practice, that's the best thing I could say. Practice takes a lot of practice to locate different stars and planets in the sky, but it could be a lot of fun. So thank you for coming to tonight's program, the couple day program, and have a good evening.